Welcome to the Republican Professor. This morning we have with us Wendy Tochihara. Did I say your name right?
Good.
Oh my gosh, why didn't I ask how to say your name before I started? That's so tacky. So yeah, that's what we have with us is Wendy Tochihara. Did I say it right?
Yes.
Okay.
Nice.
Why did I do it twice? Because I wanted to make sure I can do it. And we have Curtis joining us from Texas. And I'm in California. It's warming up. I almost said frozen, but I have shorts on and I have flip-flops on. It is, I mean, I have a wool sweater on. But Wendy, you're in California too, right?
I am. I'm in SoCal.
Sweet. Awesome. Wendy is a special guest today. She's in the fishing industry for a long time here in California. You said 25 years, I think, right?
Over 20 years, about 22 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Wendy started when she was 15 in the industry. Well, Wendy, tell us what you do and how you got into it.
So I'm actually now the national sales manager for Iserline. I also rep lure company, Big Hammer Lures, SKB, a tackle box company, and BBT Innovations. I started, well, every Asian family, every Japanese family starts fishing in the Sierras for trout. And when I became, I got married and became pregnant, I started fishing because I couldn't play sports anymore. And I met this guy and we became the best of friends. And so he talked me into fishing bass tournaments. So I started fishing bass tournaments, won Angler of the Year my first year solo, and I was hooked. So
Wow.
yeah.
That's
and
amazing.
I started, I mean, it was just, I'm one of those people, A-type personalities, where I find a hobby, I get totally immersed in it and obsessed. So I did that. I got sponsored by fishing companies, and I was a legal secretary for a family law attorney at that time, working part-time. And I got 2 job offers in the fishing industry, and I took the safer one. And I've been with Iserline for over 20 years.
Wow.
Talk about falling into a calling, right?
It's
That's
really
awesome.
nice because I'm female in a predominantly male sport. So I was told by tackle store owners and people that I'll never make it in this industry. Well, they didn't know me. I'm a very determined person.
That's awesome.
Did you just
and
take that as a challenge or what?
Yes, of course.
Of
I like
course.
competition. But it's such a neat industry. I've met so many great people who are my best friends now and mentors.
That's
It's awesome, and it's nice because it's not work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
So cool. I'm
live,
so
breathe,
jealous of you.
fishing and hunting. Those fishing and hunting are my pastimes, and that's what I do in my off time, and that's what I do for work. So it's fun.
Yeah, you do something you love, you never have to work another day in your life.
Absolutely.
When you were bass fishing, how old were you at that time? The bass fishing thing.
Probably in my early 30s.
Early 30s. And where were you bass fishing? Where is this place?
I started fishing team tournaments, and I was fishing a circuit called American Bass Association. It's a team tournament circuit, and I was fishing Clear Lake, Sonoma, and Berryessa up in Northern California, and then our local lakes in Southern California, Paris, Cachuma, Castaic.
Okay.
So,
They have bass in them. I don't even know. I've never been fishing here in California.
really?
Yeah.
Oh my
gosh.
Well, Wendy, I grew up in Colorado. So when I got out here, I just didn't take it seriously. I was just like, when I grew up in Colorado, like Rocky Mountains. Like now when I meet someone like you and you're doing stuff that I used to do in Colorado, I'm like, wait, what am I missing here? I think I might have missed out on something. Like I missed out on some basic things, but
Mount
like,
Whitney area.
well, yeah, I know
Yeah,
Northern
it's
California.
beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
Okay.
I live in Huntington Beach, and Huntington Beach, the ocean is my backyard.
Mm.
Yes.
And
Right.
my daughter got really sick and had to be in the hospital, in and out of the hospital for 4 years. So I had to stop bass fishing because it took too much time and I was too far away from home. So I took up saltwater fishing because it is in my backyard and I'm a mile away from the launch ramp. Well, in my backyard, we have lots of fish. Saltwater fishing is awesome here in Southern California. We're California, as you guys know, we're the most highly regulated state probably anywhere. And that includes fisheries. And so our fisheries here are unbelievable. And there's a huge abundance of fish here. I was lucky last year to be able to check a mark off my bucket list and left out of Redondo Beach and caught a 221-pound bluefin tuna.
Wow.
We have those here in our backyard.
Wow. Now, do you credit the regulation for that? Is the regulation a good thing?
We have regulations for a reason. Yes, the catch limits are controversial. And before, we used to have really good up-to-date data, up-to-date science. Today, it's best available science, which, who knows how old it is. We've got some pretty skewed numbers right now. We'll take white sea bass, for instance. Hub SeaWorld and CCA, Coastal Conservation Association, which I'm a state board member of, we are into habitat and access for anglers. And we raise white sea bass, and there are white sea bass pens all along our coast to raise them and then release them for anglers to catch and to help the species. Well, when the Department of Fish and Wildlife had their biologists count white sea bass to see if our program was working, they didn't count Catalina Island and San Clemente Island, which are two really popular spots. And we have a white sea bass pen at Catalina. They didn't count that. They only counted the coast. So that was skewed data. And they said our program wasn't working. So there's politics and everything. And fisheries is one of them.
How did you get to be on the board of that? What was it? The Coastal
Conservation Association. We're a California chapter. CCA started in Texas for redfish, and it was about conservation of the redfish and making sure there was enough for for anglers to catch. Well, they're now in 19 states, and we are their last state that they've just acquired, and we've been going strong, I believe, 6 years now. And we were actually able last year to pass the 365 fishing license. Here in California, if you buy a fishing license in October, you pay the full price and it's expired in December.
That's lame.
3rd. Yeah, so now we have a 365-day license that'll start in 2023. And we had a huge hand in that.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, very cool.
Way to go. Thank you.
Yeah.
On behalf of all Californians, thank you. And I've never bought a fishing license in California. I've just never. Do you have to buy one to go out to the ocean?
Yes. You need a freshwater fishing license if you're going to freshwater, and then a saltwater license for saltwater.
How much do those run usually?
I think they're around $60 now, just shy of 60.
Okay.
For the combo license. But I also have, I don't know if you know, since you're from Colorado, we have some hunting here in California. Here, I'll tilt the camera.
Well, what kind of hunting? Yeah, tell us about that.
That's Paso Robles turkey that I got. It was
man, I know where that is.
10-inch beard on that thing.
So you went, that's a wine country, right? You
It
go
is.
turkey hunting? Man, you
Yeah.
see opportunities all over the place. I'm passing through Paso Robles and I'm just like, trying not to drive with alcohol in me. Basically, you look around and you're like, where are the birds? They're hiding. I do look for owls and I do find them, but wow, that's cool. What kind of game have you hunted in California?
In California, just deer,
Okay.
and turkeys, and then upland birds and ducks.
What counts as upland birds and ducks?
Chucker, quail. I haven't found any wild pheasants yet, but I know we have them.
What's a chucker?
Geese. Um, it's gray, has black and white stripes on the wings, and it's got an orange beak, orange feet, and it's probably a little bigger than a bantam chicken,
Hmm.
and smaller than a Rhode Island Red.
Okay.
If you know what those are.
Yeah. We had chickens when I was growing up as a kid in Colorado. So
Yeah.
we had bantam chickens, because
Oh.
if you don't know what a bantam chicken is, they have feathers on their feet. It's just kind of weird, but is that what you mean by bantam chicken?
Well, yeah, but there's different types of bantams, and they're
Oh, okay.
smaller. They're smaller. I have a
Gotcha.
couple of bantams at my house, and then some Rhode Island Reds and other chickens here.
In Huntington Beach?
Yeah, I had to pull a permit for them.
Really? You have to pay to have chickens?
You do. I didn't know that. I came on one day. I just came from my best friend's house in Escondido, and she had chickens. I'm like, I want chickens. So I
Uh-huh.
got some chickens, and then a city worker came in my backyard and said, you're supposed to have a permit for that. So
Oh,
back
wow.
then it was $190 for 6 chickens for a permit. And
Wow.
now I believe it's $100 a chicken. So $600.
Wow. What
Yeah.
what's that for? What's the permit for? For how long? Is it a year?
No,
Every
it's
year?
as long as you have them.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. So
I
it's
don't have
not.
to. Yeah.
What
You
is
can
that for? What's the permit for?
money.
Yeah, what is the benefit that you get for that permit?
Exactly. So you exist. No, you need a
Yeah,
permit for that. You need a permit to exist.
Exactly.
absolutely. We are in California.
Oh my gosh.
So they had to actually notice all my neighbors, send them a notice, see if if there were anybody who was against me having chickens, but it was all right, and so I have them.
Yeah, there's a story behind that, I'm sure. There's some story. Some guy had chickens and rooted it for the rest of us. He had a rooster. The idiot had a rooster.
Right,
What
that's
happened?
Right.
That's what happened. He had a rooster. Idiot. So, people in Southern California are like, and it's like 5:10 a.m. and you don't have to get up until 6:15, and this stupid thing is going.
And that guy with the rooster is just thinking, you lazy people, get up.
And instead of doing what a normal mature Coloradan would do, which is just to take your shotgun over there and
Dinner.
it's a one-time jolting sound, not that hard, and end of problem. No permit, nothing.
It's called the
For
snooze
anybody.
button, Colorado style.
Yeah, boom, snooze. It's not going to go back off in 9 minutes. So what do you use for deer?
Oh, 30-06.
Oh,
Is that what you're talking about?
yeah. See, you see why I had her on?
Yes.
You
Yes.
cannot stump her. You ask any real question. Ask what a chucker is. Okay, you know what a bantam chicken is. Blah, 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 Rhode Island Red. Blah, blah, blah. What do you use for deer? 30-06. Is there going to be any harder questions?
not for a Californian.
That's awesome.
My friends in Texas, I go pig hunting in Texas every February. And when they first met me, they didn't know what to expect because I'm from California. They thought, I was a loony lefty. And once I opened my mouth and they got to know me, they're like, "Oh my gosh, you're a Texan."
Yeah,
Mind
that's funny.
blown.
I moved here just a few years ago, and I every time I was like, I'm from California, but like I can't be just California. I have to be from California, but you know.
Right. Well, and especially being female, they don't know what to
Sure.
expect.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah, how has being female affected hunting and fishing for you? Has it made it more challenging? Has it been do people accept you, or do you just take it as anything is a challenge basically, or is it
Well,
been easy for you?
one, the animals don't care. They don't know the difference, right? I can still pull the trigger.
Sexism among the deer. The deer are like, wait.
You can't shoot me.
And no, there hasn't been any problems at all, because all the people I go with are all outdoors people. They actually really enjoy seeing a female out there doing what they do, because a lot of women, especially from California, ooh, I'm gonna break a nail.
Yeah, it's scary.
Yeah,
I
but
mean, Colorado women are bad too, but
it's so fun because being female, I get more opportunities, I think.
Hmm.
really,
Um,
oh,
yeah, I mean, I met my best friends at a Bassmaster Classic while I was setting up a booth, and I didn't know these guys, the guys from Gary Yamamoto Custom Baits, and really well-known guys. I'm setting up the booth, standing on a table, and they're like, "Hun, let us help you." They set up my booth. They picked me up every day from my hotel room, took me to work, took me to dinner, took me to breakfast, took me back to my hotel, and we've been best friends ever since. Well, they're from Texas, Arizona and Texas. And so I've been able to go hella hunting with them.
hmm.
And, I wouldn't have gotten that opportunity just on my own. That's really expensive. And it's just, I get some really neat opportunities.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
That is so cool. Are you an extrovert or introvert, do you think?
When I was younger, I was an extrovert. Now I like to kick back and let people talk and see what they know.
Which is usually not much, and then you can probably figure that out within 2 minutes.
Well, it's pretty fun for me because being that I work in the fishing industry and it's a predominantly male sport, there's a lot of guys who fish and fish a lot, but they really don't know a lot. They like to fish, but they don't know a lot of the techniques or how to actually tie a really good knot.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so I actually give seminars on how to tie knots and connections. And so it's interesting to watch people, and then I let them talk, and then I chime in.
Is the how to tie knots thing, is that part of your sales spiel, or is that a separate charge?
It's actually, I do that because there's a lot of really I don't want people to lose their fish. I don't want people to think, oh, my fishing line is horrible because they're not broke. So I actually have a line testing machine, and I have them tie their knot first. And a lot of times their knot will pull through. They'll get a little curly Q or something. Their knot will the line will break in their knot, and then I can show them how to tie a proper knot where it'll be 100% knot strength. So
Wow,
it helps sales and it helps the fishermen.
that makes sense. How did you figure out how to tie a knot?
I
A good
actually,
knot.
before I was in the industry, Line at the Fred Hall show every year had a knot tying contest. I had no idea how to tie a knot. And so my daughters were, I believe, 4 and 5 at the time. And so the three of us would tie. Well, somebody at the booth showed us how to tie. So we kept tying and we kept winning the contest. So
Oh, wow.
yeah, and so even my daughters at 4 and 5 years old were winning the knot tying contest against other kids.
Oh my gosh.
And so that's how it all
What city was this in? This knot tying? What city did this take place in?
Long Beach.
Really?
Yeah.
Man, I feel
It's
like I don't know what goes on in this city.
it was the biggest show on the West Coast. It's since COVID, it's gone away. We have another
Ugh,
show
really?
called
Oh, it sucks.
Pacific Coast Sport Fishing, which is at the fairgrounds, Orange County Fairgrounds. Next year it'll be the first Thursday in March, all the way through the weekend. But I mean, all over the place because of COVID, all these tackle stores are doing little pop-up sales. Like I have a pop-up sale this weekend at Fisherman's Access, and we'll bring the knot tying machine and we'll tie knots and let people win prizes.
Wow, that's cool. What
Yeah,
was the thing in Long Beach called again?
it was called the Fred Hall Show.
How's it get that name?
Bart Hall's dad, Fred, started that show way back in, I believe, 50 years ago, maybe more.
How does it compare to the Orange County Gun Show in terms of size? Is it bigger or smaller?
More people.
More people? Oh, it's bigger.
Yeah, it's crowded. It fills up the arena and the convention center at Long Beach.
What?
Yeah, and when
Wow.
on day one, opening day, the line to get in is all the way around the convention center. It's huge. It's our
Wow.
biggest show, or it was.
And it's just everybody in fishing in California that comes in there and sells stuff?
People from all over the world come.
All over the world.
Outfitters, so from Alaska, the Amazon, all over.
Wow. Amazon. Wow.
Yeah. So there's all different kinds of outfitters there, manufacturers. Us as a manufacturer, Iserline is a manufacturer, and Big Hammer, we don't sell to the public, but we have a booth to support our dealers.
Okay. You guys are a manufacturer. Okay.
Yes.
Where's your stuff made?
Our Spectra is made in the USA, but our monofilament is made in Vietnam. And at first it was Taiwan, and then there were issues. We had to go to China. And then when President Trump came into office, because of the tariffs, we went back to Taiwan. But now, because of what's going on with China and Taiwan, we're in Vietnam. So politics is everywhere.
Man, how do you like move an operation like that so quickly? I don't know how you guys keep up with all that. Did you have to go over there, or does somebody from your team have to go over there and figure that out?
Yeah, Helen in our office is amazing. She does everything. She's Iserline. I'm just the sales staff.
Is she bilingual or trilingual?
Yes, she is.
What does she speak?
Vietnamese.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I guess that kind of helps.
I'm curious, is there an intentional aversion to going to China, or is just how it's worked out with logistics and all that other stuff?
Yeah, no, we had to get out of China because of the tariffs. It was just, it would, the cost passing it down to the consumer is great.
Oh, okay. So you've hit on something there. How does that make people feel about Trump in your industry, do you think?
I think with any industry or in anything, you have people that are totally against him, and you have people that totally love him. Most people, when you go to Northern California to a trade show, a fishing and hunting trade show, it's Trump paraphernalia everywhere.
Yeah.
In Southern California, it's different. People are afraid to wear their MAGA hats and what, their flags and stuff. It was
Right.
it was very interesting because my mom, my sister, and I are not afraid. And so we wear them all the time. I mean, we even have FTV hats.
That's awesome.
I can personally attest to that. Okay, there's people that are gonna be listening to this. They can't see you, so I'm gonna just say, Wendy, your heritage is Japanese. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. Well, the reason I mentioned that, clarify that, is sometimes the people, they take the husband's last name. Well, I mean, maybe you did take your husband's last name. I don't know, I really know, but they might not know that that has anything to do with what you look like. But you are Asian heritage, Japanese, and you're obviously a woman. And in fact, we were talking that your heritage in California goes back, has a very interesting history. Do you want to share a little bit about that?
Sure. Um, my family, all my aunts and uncles, um, and my mom and dad, they were all interned in the Japanese internment camps. My dad went to Minidoka, which is in Idaho, and my mom, her sisters, and my grandpa were in Manzanar, which is located in the Eastern Sierras.
Were they, how old were they at that time?
I believe my mom it was 1942, 43. She might have been 11.
Okay. And your dad was how long? How much? How, I can't talk today. How old?
2 years older than my mom.
He's what?
2 years older than my mom. He was 2 years older than my
Okay.
mom.
Okay. So this had been in the 1940s. And tell me again the Idaho camp he was in?
Minidoka. I haven't been
Minidoka.
there. I want to go visit, but if you ever get the chance to go, go to Mammoth or June Lake and go to
Mhm.
the Eastern Sierras, off 395 is where Manzanar is in Independence. And they built an interpretation center and they're recreating the camp, and it actually looks really nice. They have a scroll on the wall lit up with all the names of all the internees, and the museum is really nice.
How did that affect your parents? Did they talk about it with you?
When we were kids, no, they
Mhm.
never talked about it. When Reagan was in office, Reagan had the redress. And so that was actually, as a kid, that was the first time I've ever heard of it, or a young adult, when they got the redress, which was a mere $25,000 per person who was interned, when all the Japanese lost everything. When they were interned, they could only bring what they could carry. So all their properties, whether it was their car, their business, their house, everything was lost.
Wow.
Yeah, it was a terrible time. And
Yeah.
so, the Japanese, they're not talkers. They just keep it all in.
Yeah.
You don't complain. And so that was the first I heard of it. And after that, it started in school. You would hear stories and stuff, but until recently, really nobody talked about it.
Hmm.
But
So it's hard to know how painful it was, if it must have been, but because they wouldn't say it, right? They wouldn't say if it was painful.
right. Well, and then so my
But it
mom
must
was a
have been.
kid, so they went to school
Right.
there, and they played games. Ansel Adams
Mhm.
took photos of my mom playing volleyball. So as a kid, it wasn't probably as bad as if you were, my grandparents.
Yeah, and you lost. It's a taking of property by the government. That's a taking, and
Right. And you don't get it back. I mean,
yeah,
some of the Japanese were really lucky because they had great neighbors who held their properties for them and gave them back. Some people took their properties from them. Most of them lost everything.
yeah.
Yeah. So,
So the reason we go into that is you just a few minutes ago were saying that you don't mind wearing a MAGA hat around Southern California, and other people are afraid to do that, and
yeah,
you guys are
especially,
just like letting it all hang out.
you know,
Does your
we're
mom wear one too?
absolutely
And she was in the camp. She was in
Manzanar.
Manzanar, yeah.
Yeah, she absolutely does. And we don't understand how the people that were interned, the Japanese that were interned, how they can vote Democrat.
That's interesting. Why do
We
they vote Democrat? And
we don't
what's
understand.
yeah.
They all, the majority of them, we're kind of outcasts. We're
Okay.
outspoken. There's very few of us, but we do have a group called Japanese Americans for Trump. it's a Facebook page, and there
I've got-
are a few of us.
I've got a member for you. I've got a member for you. It's
Okay.
one of my friends is Japanese, and she feels the same way you do. So
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
and this group is great because we have get-togethers because there's not there's not too many of us. But
yeah, there aren't. That's true.
we just don't understand how they can vote Democrat, how they could vote, for Hillary Clinton and Obama. It just and
Yeah,
Biden.
I was pretty blown away too when I looked at the poll numbers, and because I don't, I have some Asian friends, mostly Korean, but I have this one Japanese heritage friend who's also her grandparents were in the camps, lost. I don't know how they made it back. I mean, they still, it's amazing how they came out of that situation, and they like it didn't seem to like hold them back at all. They just like, oh, like, okay, well, let's just start over and just start buying property. It's like,
Yeah,
wait, how do you
that's what
do
my
that?
mom and
Yeah, I know. Yeah,
they
yeah.
started over, and my mom put my dad through hairdressing school. We owned a beauty salon on Rodeo Drive. Vidal Sassoon finally bought my
What?
mom and dad out, and my
Get
mom
out.
was smart and bought property all over the place, and she's doing very well.
Wow. I think it's Rodeo Drive. I think you mispronounced it. I think it's Rodeo Drive because I just looked at the sign. It says Rodeo. I'm from Colorado.
Yeah, you're from Colorado.
I would
That's
definitely
awesome.
call that rodeo.
Yeah, that would be Texas.
You're dropping some cool little gems there. You got Ansel Adams, you mentioned, Vidal Sassoon on Rodeo
Do you
Drive.
happen to have any of those pictures of it from Ansel Adams?
I do.
Wow, that's what
Yeah,
a
and it's in the
treasure.
National Archives.
Oh, what a treasure.
Yeah. So we have those. Once in a while, I'll post it up as my Facebook profile. Yeah, because my youngest daughter looks exactly like my mom when she was interned.
That's
Yeah,
cool.
pretty neat.
That's awesome. What do you mind saying your mom's name?
Jane.
Jane
So when she was in camp, it was Jane Harada.
Harada. Okay.
Yeah,
Jane Harada. Got it. And what was your dad's name?
Joe Tochihara.
What was your dad like? Was he a fisherman?
He was a rebel. He was a troublemaker.
Oh,
He was a character. He died at 60 of cancer, but he lived a full life.
I'm trying to imagine what that means. Did he was he a hunter and stuff, or what was he a biker? Did he have tattoos? Well, I'm trying to picture him.
5'4", Napoleon complex, tough guy. Taught my sister and I how to fight.
Oh, cool.
Grew up in Hell's Kitchen in New York.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, was just a troublemaker, but
Jeez.
was very talented. Ended up to be a very talented hairdresser, well known. He would do I don't know if you know John Forsythe, Petula Clark, all the celebrities. He would do their hair. Jerry Lewis, because we were in Rodeo Drive. So, and then yeah, so he was just a character. Everybody loved him.
Wow.
That is so cool. You
That's
guys
hilarious.
yeah, I mean, your family's really literally sewn into such deep heritage
Yes.
of
Yes.
not just California, but of our country. I mean,
Yes.
from celebrities to yeah, that's crazy. It's crazy. That's really cool.
Growing up, we had a crazy life because my mom and dad owned the salon in Beverly Hills. They got to meet celebrities and agents.
Mhm.
And so when we were young, we actually got into acting. So
Cool.
at 1 years old, I actually was a baby and did Walk, Don't Run with Cary Grant. And from then on, I mean, I did lots of commercials, TV specials, stage plays. I
Wow.
worked a lot.
Wow.
You were a baby in a Cary Grant film.
I was. I'm telling my age.
Oh, that's something to be proud of.
That's cool.
Yeah, yeah.
Definitely.
And I mean, I got to work with a lot of great people. We actually had a series on CBS before Wild Kingdom back in the 70s, and it was called Anna and the King of Siam. And it starred Yul Brynner and
Uh-huh.
Samantha Egg.
Oh my goodness.
And so we worked a lot. It was fun.
You were in a series with Yul Brynner.
Yeah.
These are like major,
Wait, hold on a
major
second.
stars.
You were in. Okay, sorry, you, Wendy. Wendy was it? Wendy were in.
So
See what you're doing to me, Wendy. I can't keep up with you.
my
Wendy was
twin
in.
sister and I were the twins on Anna and the King of Siam. My brother was the Crown Prince Chulalongkorn. And it was a family affair. And, we're still friends with everybody that was in the cast. It was pretty cool. But yeah, we did Anna and the King of Siam. And
That was on stage.
that was on television. That was right after or before Wild Kingdom
Wow.
with Lauren Green.
I remember Wild Kingdom.
yeah.
Yeah, that was great. I love that. Right. It was right after Wild Kingdom, or right before it.
And then
That's
right
cool.
after that, we did Anna, The King and I. And that was on stage at the Dorothy Chandler Pavilion and the Current Theater in San Francisco. And
That was with Yul Brynner.
that was
a
Yul
stage
Brynner
show.
did that with Deborah Carr. So that was before.
Okay.
So we did it with Ricardo Montalban and Sally Ann Howes. Sally Ann Howes, you'll remember as Chitty Chitty Bang Bang.
Yeah.
Watch your life. Oh, sorry. Okay, sorry. I thought you were cussing for a second. Yeah, we started Chitty Chitty Bang Bang just a few months ago. Couldn't get through it just because it was like so. But I loved it. I remember loving that movie as a kid. I
watched it all the time.
The car.
Yep.
Yeah, that was cool. And just the scenes from England too.
Yeah.
I just love Dick Van Dyke was so versatile.
He was.
He really was. I ran into him one time at Pepperdine. That's the one story I have is I ran into Dick Van Dyke. I didn't say a damn thing to him. But I was just like, that's Dick Van Dyke. He's like, I don't know how old he was. He was really old. But I was like, hi. I don't think I even said hi. I just walked around him. But anyway, yeah, that's cool. So you did King and I on stage. Did you ever meet Yul Brynner?
Oh yeah, been to his house. Yeah, Yul Brynner was great. Everyone we've worked with has been great. Ricardo Montalban, his wife Georgiana, Sally Ann Howe. I mean, everybody. Just a fun time, great memories.
Wow.
But I was lucky. I got to do all that kind of stuff. I got to. I co-starred with Chad Everett on Medical Center. The episode was Child of Conflict, and I was the child of conflict. Fathom that. And then Kung Fu. But all three of us.
Don't even. Are you serious? You were on Kung Fu?
Yeah, the episode was Forbidden Kingdom.
Wow.
I have one of those seasons on DVD. I'm gonna look for you. I'm not sure. What was it called?
Forbidden Kingdom.
Forbidden Kingdom. Do you remember what season that was?
I have it. I actually have the 3-part VCR tape of it. I'll look it up.
Oh, that's cool.
Send it to you.
You got a VCR. See, you're blowing our minds here. That was a cool show. That was an interesting show. I mean, it's a little different than I remember it as a kid. Like I just seriously a couple months ago ran into it in the bookstore, the used books. I was like, that's Kung Fu. I had never seen it in the used bookstore before. So I got the DVD, got home, put it in, and guess who the little kid is? Jodie Foster. In the first episode, Jodie Foster.
I grew up with Jodie Foster. In fact, when I Gosh, we've known Jody for forever. We would always go on interviews together, and I mean, it was all those celebrities. They were just kids like us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty cool.
I love Kung Fu. I didn't realize he talked differently. I just never realized that he was pretending to be Chinese, or
Yeah.
not pretending. I guess that was his deal, was he thought he was Chinese, I think, or something. Or maybe he was. I mean, I can't remember how he was cast. I didn't watch the whole episode. I just was freaking out that I saw Jodie Foster on there, but it was pro self-defense is what I remember. Thinking was cool about it was just a very pro self-defense film.
Right.
And Jodie Foster did a pro self-defense film too called The Brave One. Did you ever see that?
I never saw that.
Oh, you got to look it up. It's
Okay.
a Second Amendment film, basically. I don't know. I'm not saying she would know that. I mean, she's supposed to be pretty bright. She went to Yale, but there's a lot of crazy people at Yale, and it might have rubbed off on her. But
Yeah, but most actors, they're on the lib side.
yes, as it's kind of a default because they can't help it. They're all around each other, and that's all they know. But this is about a woman that I think it's New York. I want to say it's a city, and she's having she wants to defend herself, and she can't get a gun because the regulations are so crazy. And so she gets I think she gets basically an illegal gun to
Oh, she
defend
must have been
herself.
California.
You would think. Yeah. So do you mind talking about your Second Amendment stance and how that factors into the totality of the phenomenon we're witnessing right now?
So during COVID, oh no, even before that, when Obama was in office, it was really neat to see what everybody running to Turner's Outdoorsman. That's one of my accounts. The lines were so long that everybody wanted to buy guns and ammo. It was amazing. He was the best thing for gun sales. He was the number one salesperson for guns and ammo.
So this would have been 2008
Oh, that's
or
how he
2009. Which one was it, when he got into office, or was it during
when he
the
got
election?
into office? Yeah.
Okay.
He was great for gun sales, and ever since then, I've seen, I mean, Democrats, liberals, everybody buying guns. But what was really funny is the people that had no idea on how to buy a gun because they've heard in the news that you can just go in and grab a gun and there's no rules and regulations. You could hear people yelling, "What do you mean I have to wait 10 days? I need what? I have to bring my registration. I have to bring, I have to go home."
So they're against buying guns. They're against how crazy this is truly amazing. And I would think you're making it up, except for I saw it firsthand myself as well. Not at that cycle, but I saw it in the what cycle was that? I guess no. What I'm thinking of was right when the shutdowns happened, and
COVID
then
was
as
another
things, starting to open up more, they were it was crazy. And I saw people that they had supported the politicians that wanted all these crazy, irrational, incoherent, not supported by rational basis regulations. But then when they're confronted with the reality, they obviously did not believe in these regulations. They thought they were irrational.
They were crazy.
Right.
But it's too late. It's like you look at them and you're like, you should have thought ahead a long time ago. Why are you not thinking for yourself? I don't understand that.
Well, and then they had to take the test before they could even, the firearm safety test, before they could even do it. And, they had no clue. Thank God we have that test.
Right.
Yeah. And that's a real idiot test. I mean, you don't have to be a a rocket scientist to pass that test, and it's mostly common sense. There's always one question or two that
The age
on there.
question, and yeah.
Yeah, there's a few that are just kind of like, I don't know.
But
Know about
you
that.
know, like you said, when COVID hit, you saw an increase. Well, a lot of it I think had to do with all the riots and all the
Mhm,
smash and grabs and things
mhm.
that were going on, that people wanted to protect themselves. You know, I don't know if you heard of the rooftop Koreans.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
You mean
definitely.
during
Oh, yeah.
1992
Well, we had
or
them
Rodney
during,
King?
yeah, we had them during Rodney King, but they came back during
Oh,
the BLM protests
Yep.
and all that. They were actually on the roofs again, and some of the other businesses I know, non-Korean businesses, they did the same thing. And everyone I knew that didn't have a gun were asking, "Can I borrow your gun?" "No, you
mhm.
can't borrow my gun. It's illegal." You know, they had no idea. "Well, I can't get a gun because there's no more guns left, or there's no more ammo." And you know, it was really interesting.
Yeah.
Well, that's interesting in light of what you were saying earlier, just a few minutes ago, about the sheeple of the Asian community and voting Democrat, and um, and then yet when it comes to defending their businesses, yeah, I mean, I know there's it's not across the board, right? Like there's factions on both sides, but that's an interesting dynamic.
Bunch of hypocrites.
It's got to be frustrating for you.
Let me really tell you how I feel.
It's got to be frustrating. It's cool that you have a job that you can just speak your mind in, because I
Yes,
think a lot of people they have jobs and I think it actually affects what they think too, because they're so used to just keeping it all in that I think that they can't talk it out. They can't hear themselves saying their own view and
right.
just kind of owning it. So they're squishy and wishy-washy, and
And their job security is actually censoring them
It
or
is,
on
you
yeah.
a
know,
level to a degree.
even in my industry,
Mhm.
on the fishing side, there's people that, keep it on the down low. They can't talk about it because they have to deal with, like, my other
Mhm.
half. He's
Hmm.
a marine biologist
Hmm.
at UCSD. I'm UCSB, and
Hmm.
he deals with the extreme environmentalists, right, and other scientists, and
Mhm.
and he's in the Pacific Fisheries Management Council, and does a lot of policy, and so he has to stay neutral. But he has this crazy girlfriend who everybody knows is a Trump supporter and has her Second Amendment rights all over her arm, but
God
not
bless her.
literally. I don't have tattoos, but no, I totally believe in the Second Amendment. And you know, today it's so scary. Um, if I wanted to protect my property and
Mhm.
somebody came into my house, I can't do anything about it unless they're threatening me or facing me. I'm 5 feet tall. What if a huge guy comes in after me, but then he turns his back and I shoot him?
Yeah,
I'm gone.
yeah, it's
You
your
got to
fault.
get him when he's facing you. That's the key.
Right, right.
Yeah.
But he could be facing me and so close that I could
Yeah,
be in trouble,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
So, for a female, it's I think it's very important to be able to know how to use a firearm
Mhm.
and to know your laws. And I am
Right.
definitely for Second Amendment. What
Yeah.
about you guys? Are you guys for concealed carry, open carry?
Well, I only use rubber band guns because I don't want to hurt anyone if they're trying to attack me.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, there's a few issues here. One is that you mentioned that I mean, it's a little odd to have these kind of conversations about when you're talking about race and ethnicity and voting patterns, because a lot of it is based on so much misinformation, I think.
Mhm.
and some communities are more prone to it than others. It's really odd. And so, like when I vote, I never look at my racial category and go, oh, well, most of them went for Hillary, and so therefore, what's wrong with me? I don't. Most males went for Hillary. I don't, what? I just don't even think about it. I just think about what my view is, and that's how you are,
Right.
and that's how people should be. And I don't understand why people are constantly looking over and going, am I doing it right? Am I having the right beliefs? But then you get in a situation where the same people 2 years before are saying, why do you need a gun? And then fast forward 2 years, oh my gosh, I can't get a gun, where's a gun? And I just want to say, why do you need a gun?
Yeah.
Just repeat exactly what they just said. It's like, in other words, you now realize there's a conceivable situation in which you might want that. Oh, okay, well, thank you for putting in the 2 calories it took you to come to that thought. I wish you would have done this before. And then it's not just about getting the gun, though. Like you said, it's about the whole legal process and all the barnacles on the ship, that are holding you down. Like, if you'd actually need to use it to protect yourself, because some psycho is killing you. And if this psycho happened to take just a law class, even if he failed it and he remembered, oh, if I turn my back, um just the fact that you'd be hung up on something like that, or even have to face a jury or face the threat of a jury for that is it's ridiculous. I wish we took it more seriously as a people. If more people in our communities took self-defense more seriously, there would be fewer break-ins, because there would be much harder legal it would be much more legal protection for anybody. Like, the law would just give you the benefit of the doubt. If you're at home and if you're a woman and you're small or something, and this guy doesn't belong in your house, doesn't belong in your home, then the benefit of the doubt is on you. Well, that's not how our legal system exactly. It used to be that way,
Right.
but
Right.
but now criminal defendants, um, now you're a criminal defendant
Right.
for just exercising your right to self-defense, and it's wrong. It's totally wrong. So that's how I feel. So as far as concealed carry goes in public, um, yes, yeah, I'm for it. But the same legal issues, it's so complicated in terms of how the rules as far as your usage of that firearm. It's a, you know, it's if you do use it to defend yourself, you have every reason not to, because the law will just look at you like, did you really need to use that? And I think that just emboldens criminals. So, because the criminals know that any innocent person can be regarded as a criminal as well, just for doing
Absolutely.
non-criminal activity
Yeah.
like defending yourself.
Well, our
And
laws are made for the criminals, not for the victims. It's turned that way now.
mhm,
It's just ridiculous. I mean, I know a guy who in San Diego got broken into twice. So
mhm.
he was in his living room, got his gun, figured he was going to get broken into again. So he would sit in the living room with his gun. And the guy did break in. He shot the guy, didn't kill him, he injured him. The criminal who broke into his house filed a lawsuit and won because he was lying in wait.
See, that's just absolutely asinine to me.
I agree.
It's like I remember growing up or hearing, and I don't remember if it was in college or high school, about the guy trying to break into a grocery store and he fell through a skylight and broke his leg and won this multi-million-dollar
Right.
lawsuit. It's like, what? How is this? This is stupid.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense to me. I wish we had stand your ground laws here.
Yeah.
Yeah, me too. What's the problem with stand your ground laws? They have a really bad rap, but I don't understand why.
I don't either. I mean, if you're on my property and you don't belong here, and I tell you to leave and you don't leave, I'm
I'm
sorry.
starting
You
to
hurt
feel threatened.
me.
Who,
Yeah.
yeah, who owns this property? Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. I mean, what is ownership really about?
Right.
I remember my uncle is one of my uncles from Oklahoma. I remember growing up, he'd always say, "Oh, well, you know, nobody'd break into our homes in Oklahoma because everybody's got guns." I'd be really curious to see the statistics and what the comparison between Texas or Oklahoma and California. But my guess is everybody here knows pretty much everybody's got a gun. I mean, there's as many women on my church safety committee that are packing as there are men, you know, and it seems to me that it's a deterrent.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I just watched in the news last night, down in LA, they had 2 robberies, and they broke into a home, this one home, and the second home they broke into, the guy had a gun and shot through the door. So I mean, would you go back there knowing that somebody over here has a gun? No, right?
No.
I mean, it's a deterrent.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it's like, you know, it goes back to ownership of property too, like the stand your ground. Like in public, I don't know why do I have a duty to retreat? Why is there any duty of mine if you're threatening me? I don't
Right.
understand that.
Right.
That only emboldens people who threaten other people. Like if eventually, if
Hey,
tell me if I'm wrong here. Eventually, I think people who threaten other people in public would get the hint that if you're not obligated to retreat, and they would go, oh, you know, maybe it's not such a good idea. And going back to like losing property during during World War II, that's a government taking of your property.
absolutely.
Same thing with not having a stand your ground. You're taking my property. If I have my property, that means that I have the discretion of use of that property to the exclusion of others. That's what ownership means. That's what it means to own something. And when I've noticed that my students they want stuff, they want to have their own stuff, but then they vote for the party that doesn't respect just these basic things of ownership of property. And they're really shocked, by the way, too, when I tell them it was the Democrats that did the Japanese internment. They don't know that. And I'm like, how could you not know that? I mean,
Yeah.
you're bragging about the New Deal and how awesome that was, Social Security and stuff. That was all Democrats. Well, just right after that was World War II. It's the same people in office. I don't understand. I don't know how you cannot see that. I don't get that. And I mean, I'm glad we run World War II, and the Democrats do get a lot of credit for winning World War II. Hey, I'm perfectly happy to give FDR credit for, well, I guess Truman too, for that. But that if you're going to take credit for something, then you have to take responsibility for the bad stuff, because that's what it
Absolutely.
means, right? So,
Mhm.
how does your mom feel about Truman dropping the atom bomb?
I have no idea how she feels about that. I do
Never
know
brought
that,
that up.
yeah, she's never talked about that.
Mhm.
So I don't know, but I know that Japan really took care of the people that were there,
Mhm.
the Japanese citizens. I have a friend whose mom was there, and she's still alive today. But Japan would fly her back and forth from California to Japan to monitor her health.
Mm.
So, but that's an interesting little tidbit. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know how she felt about that.
Is your mom? I'm assuming she speaks Japanese.
So
Does she speak any?
my grandma is Adalena Zamora. I'm my mom is half Mexican and half Japanese. And it's real interesting because being quote unquote a half breed, she wasn't accepted by the Japanese. You know, the Japanese parents wouldn't let my mom play with kids, you know, with their kids because she wasn't full Japanese. Very prejudiced. Japanese are very prejudiced.
Hmm.
And so even in the internment camps, you know, there was a lot of prejudice of them even being in the internment camps because she was.
Wow.
But yeah, so we're actually I'm a quarter Mexican and 3/4 Japanese. So my mom is actually in Japanese. She's a sansei, which is second generation. I mean, shoot, nisei. I'm a sansei. I'm third generation.
Okay. So your mom's remind me, your
My
grandma
mom's
was
mom,
born in Japan?
Mexico,
Oh, okay. But your grandpa was born in Japan?
in Japan. Yeah.
Okay.
And then on my dad's side, both parents are from Japan.
And was the language spoken at all for them and as a kid?
Only so we wouldn't understand.
So your mom is half Mexican.
Yes.
It's too bad that she couldn't use that to stay out of the camp. Like, no, you don't understand. Hold on.
Yeah, which half are you going to put in the camp? Well, yeah.
Didn't matter.
Did she speak any Spanish?
No. Her mom died when she was, I think her mom was only 38 or something like that.
Oh.
So she was young. So she didn't know her mom.
Makes you wonder if she was still half but had a Mexican last name, if it wouldn't have mattered.
No, if of any Japanese ancestry.
Really? Wow.
That's true. Yeah, it was very paranoid policy. The policy was
I didn't realize
fearful.
it was interesting.
Well, in part, it was because Japan, the Empire of Japan at the time, regarded any foreign-born, even partially Japanese people to be citizens, loyal to the emperor. That's how Japan viewed them.
Right.
And so, we're reading these intelligence reports and we're like, are we missing something? I mean, yeah, so there's always a reason why. I mean, you have to look at what the reason they thought was. So, I mean,
Well, and then
we look
so
back and
a
it's
lot
paranoid.
of because of the news media or because of whatever, everybody thought that we were all spies.
Yeah.
Right. And then so people were afraid of us, and Chinese people were afraid because they were afraid of being mistaken for Japanese.
Mhm.
Sure.
There are some people that look at it being in internment camps that we were protected from the idiots who wanted to kill us, right?
Yep. That was
But
a
you still have
reason.
your rights taken away.
That's right. That was a justification for it. Yeah. No.
So
It's for your own good, Wendy. You don't understand.
right.
We don't want you to have a gun. We don't want you to have a gun. It's for your own good.
That's right.
This guy's coming in your house and, he changed his mind. Don't shoot him. Well, it's like in that kind of situation, how are you going to, well, you don't understand, Wendy. It's for your own good.
Yep.
Because
Absolutely.
we want to encourage people to come in and just before they're about to kill you or do other horrible things, we want to give them a chance to change their mind and to turn their back. So you can't shoot them, even if they have a match in their hand and they're going to burn down your house. You can't shoot them in the back. It's just ridiculous.
It's crazy.
Well, how do we get more people like you, Wendy? What's the secret? What did your parents put in the cereal? What was your dad's politics like? Did you ever talk?
I don't know. He died when he was 60.
Okay.
So I'm not sure. I was still pretty young. I was still like early 20s when he died.
When Obama was running or when Clinton was running, did you and your mom like have the same view about Clinton?
Well, yeah. Oh
Mhm.
yeah, no. Yeah, she's even gone to a couple of rallies with me.
So were you guys always Republican or did that change? Did you
Always. Well, my
always?
mom actually was a Democrat. Then she saw the light a long time ago when we were kids. I believe she was a Democrat, and
Oh.
so you get to ask her that
It'd be
question.
interesting. Yeah, I want to ask her that because I'd be interested for posterity if she remembers what it was that changed her mind.
She might
on that.
deny it.
That's okay. She's old
Democrat
enough
denier.
where she's right. No matter what she says, she's right. That's
But-
awesome.
Yeah, no, I've always been, I was, being a mom,
Mhm.
you raise your kids and you want them to think the same way you do.
Mhm.
Both my girls, they're 27 and 30 now, and they were Republican conservatives, and my oldest daughter has changed now,
Hmm.
and it just drives me crazy,
Oh.
just crazy. But my youngest,
Was that after college that she changed?
she got a boyfriend from Guatemala, and they changed her views.
Interesting.
Yeah. So she wants open borders, all that stuff. So, yep. Kills me.
You did your best.
Yeah, I tried. But
You
the
did.
youngest,
Yeah.
she's great. I mean, full on. And her boyfriend's family, we see eye to eye. We're on the same page. They used to own FT3 shooting range.
Really?
So,
Cool.
mhm.
Wait, that was your daughter?
My daughter's boyfriend's parents owned it, and grandparents.
Oh, but not anymore.
Not anymore. Yeah.
FT3 is a shooting range in what, Stanton or something?
Yeah.
That's in Orange County, in case you don't know. It's a major shooting range. It's a very good location.
Very nice shooting range.
Yeah, it's one of the good ones. We don't have a lot of shooting ranges here. It's kind of a pain, but
No.
back
But
when-
it's kind of scary owning a shooting range with all the lunatics, and people, that decide that that's the place they want
Yeah.
yeah,
to.
it's
So,
amazing. Yeah, we take a lot for granted. Like when I was a kid, the shooting range was as soon as I was 16, I got in my car and I drove to the mountains, and I would stop by Walmart on the way up there.
You
to
went
get some
out on the
ammo.
range to go
Yeah,
shoot.
we had, you got some Gatorade jugs or whatever. We would clean up. We wouldn't leave it out there, but you would just go target shooting and, I mean, so if you shot something, you ate it, that kind of a thing. I didn't just shoot for like the
Fun of it.
antlers or you always consume what you eat.
Right.
That's the whole point. But now I don't know anybody in California that had a childhood like that. And so I just feel like really different here.
Well, you're looking at one.
you
My dad,
yes.
my mom and dad we used to go to Mexico all the time before, when we used to be able to bring guns over there, and we used to shoot down in Mexico. We'd go fishing and shooting. And
Wow.
my dad taught me, and I was a tiny little thing. I probably was 56 pounds when my dad taught me how to shoot, and he taught me on a 357.
How old were you?
Gosh, probably, probably 10, 11. We used to ride dirt bikes. We started off on learning on a Bismarck, if you know what a Bismarck is.
Hmm.
So we were, riding motorcycles and shooting guns at an early age.
Nice.
Oh man. Well, did you say that this is like another Yul Brynner thing. Hold on. Did you say that your first gun that you shot was a 357 in Mexico?
Yeah.
Dude,
It's
holy-
a long time ago.
When did they allow you to bring guns down there and then
Well,
not give you a hard time bringing it back?
It could have been, because my dad was a rebel, did what he wanted.
Might have been
It could have
illegal.
been just because my dad did it.
Yeah. But I would think getting it back in the country would be the issue. Like,
Oh, you just, Kate, get down.
I guess they didn't search every vehicle back then.
Well, and you have a lot of cash in your pocket.
You have a lot of what in your pocket?
A lot of cash in your pocket.
A wad of cash that you give the border patrol, you mean?
Yeah. Yes. Or the federal.
How do you know
Back
how
then,
much to
you
give?
just pay them off. It didn't matter. You just put some 20s in your pocket. and and that you get stopped. Here you go. That was the common thing back then.
You give all of your cash? How do you know how much to give? I don't know.
Well, you
How
only
did your
keep a
dad
certain
know this?
amount in your pocket, in one pocket. You hide the rest of your cash. And this is all I got here. Every time here.
So you make them think that they took you for everything you had, but really you
No.
have some like in your underwear and like.
It was all it was is they just wanted money. They didn't care,
Okay.
and $20 back then was a lot of money.
Yes, it was.
Yeah.
Still is a lot of money. What are you talking about? Like I can almost get a gallon of gas for $20 today.
Oh gosh.
Don't
get me started on gas.
It's just so amazing, like the amount of knowledge that you have, Wendy. I mean, just about even little things like who the lady on Chitty Chitty Bang Bang was, and like, oh yeah, I know how to take care of Mexican cops and border patrol too. I mean, I don't know. Is it border patrol you'd have to pay off, or was it just the federal?
No, just the federales.
So not the Americans. Okay, gotcha. You're not just saying that, right? The statute of limitations is over. You don't have to worry about that. Well, so how did you react to that 357?
You know what?
How did that not ruin you?
It did not ruin me. And the gun I use today is a 357. I am very accurate with my 357, and I'm horrible with my 9mm.
Stay with the 357 then. Is it a Smith & Wesson?
Yes, it is.
Do you know what model it is?
The 629 or something like that. It's got a
5-shot.
I think it's a 629 or something like that.
Is it a newer one?
Yeah.
Oh, it's a newer one. Oh, okay.
I got the newer ones. But I love it.
Is it blue? Is it blue or is it nickel or silver?
It's nickel with a nice wood handle.
Okay.
It's Pro 629 or 620, 626.
626. Is it 5-shot or 6?
6.
Oh. Are you sure it's not 686?
Might be 686. No, I think it's I don't think it's 686. I think it's 626, or I don't know.
I'm not up on all the new Smith models. The old ones I know, but does it have one of those Hillary holes?
What was that?
Does it have a Hillary hole? You know what that means is, right? The cylinder release has that stupid key lock thing, and people call it Hillary hole because they drilled it in there to make it safe under Clinton. I'm pretty sure that's why they call it Hillary hole. But
so I shoot that gun the most, but my most recent is an AR build that
cool.
My buddy put together for me, and then I actually got a thermal scope for it. That's my big
that's
gun.
so cool.
Yeah.
So you're going to use that on like the pigs that when you go to Texas or something, or
yeah.
Do you do the helicopter?
What was that?
Do you do the helicopter pig thing, or actually?
I've done that once. And that that's a bucket list. If you've never done it, go do it. And then now I just hunt my friend's property, his lease, and I'm shooting out of a blind.
Oh wow, that's cool. And do you eat the pigs?
Absolutely. I'm like you. Whatever I harvest is what I eat. So I have 5 freezers at home.
5 freezers. What do you do with the hide, the skin, or the fur? So you use it. Yeah.
I use it as a blanket.
Okay, if there's ever a disaster, like a really horrible like earthquake or volcano, I gotta find Wendy's house. I will just head to Huntington Beach and I will go to every house and I'll be like, is this Wendy's house? And I'll look for the hides because you're the one, because you have these skills. Do you know how to do that? You know how to take the hide off and
I know how to, but that's when I play stupid girl.
Yeah, because no one wants to do that. It's not fun. You don't want to tan a hide. That's not fun. That takes a long time.
No, I don't tan the hides. We send those out. But I mean, when it comes to dressing a deer or
Mhm.
quartering a pig or something, I can do it if I had to. But with the guys around, I let them do it.
Sure.
What kind of knife? What kind of knife do you carry when you're out hunting and stuff and fishing?
I actually always have one or two knives on me, and I have a Kirschner spring-loaded.
It just gets better and better.
Spring-loaded Kirschner knife. But I do have a hunting knife that I use when I'm
Sweet.
out there hunting. But you just never know. You never know when you're gonna need it. And
Yeah.
even though I'm a female, a knife really does come in handy.
Yeah.
Whether it's cutting a box open or whatever. I mean, I find daily uses for it.
It's amazing. It's amazing to me that this has to be explained to people. I had a knife on me when I was a kid in school.
Right. Yeah, we grew up with carrying
And,
knives.
and I don't think it ever was a deal. It's not like I was breaking it out in the classroom. I don't even think I did in recess, but you just had it, and it wasn't a big deal if you had it. I don't think. I mean, I wasn't like a rebel like you're talking about. I don't think. Maybe people would think I was a rebel, but it was just a normal thing. I remember being at church one time, and there was a box that needed to be opened at church, and I just got my knife out, and this lady is from Chicago. I think she's from the city. She was like, "Oh my god, oh my god,
A knife!"
I'm like,
I still get that.
We were just in the kitchen. There's steak knives in there, and we're cutting the communion bread, and no one said, "Oh my god!" Oh my god!
She may as well have been yelling, "Shooter!"
A little pocket knife. It was like little pocket knife. I think it was like 3 inches.
Well,
And
can you
it's
imagine today?
it's like as long as my finger, maybe. And I just cutting, and then boom, done.
Shooter, shooter.
Anyway, it's amazing how people react. It's just
Can you
weird.
imagine today if you even cut out a piece of paper and you're in school and it's in the shape of a gun, you get expelled?
Yeah.
Could you imagine if you pulled out a knife in classroom? Forget it.
Dude, I would have been in the
straight-jacketed.
internment camps. I would have been because
You'd be
some of the
jailed.
stuff I have, some of the stuff from when I was in school, the actual stuff. Like this isn't a memory. I have the assignments that I had in like 5th grade, and they were like, draw you as a kid. And I posted it on Facebook, a picture of it. And I've got I'm like Rambo. I have like machine guns, and I've got this huge knife.
Bandoliers across.
Yep. And yeah, so I would have been not only expelled, but like basically
Mandatory counseling.
Imprisoned, man. What advice would you give to someone who's in California, and let's say they're here for work or something like that, they can't leave, they don't have the history that you do, they're not plugged into all these different places, they don't know names, but they want to start fishing, they want to start hunting. What's the next step for them? How do they get involved? How do they figure out what to do?
The best way to get involved is to, of course, get your license, fishing or hunting license. And then you can look for classes, or you can contact your local store dealer, like an independent fishing tackle store or a store like Turner's, and they can point you in the right direction. You can, as far as fishing goes, there's a lot of fishing clubs. And so you can join a fishing club, and then they take you under their wing and they'll show you. And we give seminars to a lot of fishing clubs. Other manufacturers do too. And it's something that, is really easy to learn. You can, if you wanted to, and you're too shy, you could just look on YouTube how to tie a knot, or how to rig for bass 101 or trout 101. I mean, you can, with the internet today, you can find out how to do anything.
Yeah.
I learned how to clean my 357 on YouTube.
That thing is a trove of information. Yeah.
But, just and one of the things, though, is get involved. Get involved in a nonprofit organization that promotes and conserves fishing and hunting. You'll meet a lot of good people. You'll learn about your environment, and you'll get some new fishing and hunting buddies.
That's awesome. Do you want to give a plug for your company?
Sure. I work for Iserline, which is a fishing line company. And I don't know, Curtis, do you fish?
Some, yes. I
Do
take
you
my
know
boy.
do you know what braided line is?
No, I don't know what braided line is.
Okay, so braided line is fairly new. It came out in the 70s. And the owner of Iserline, the founder of Iserline, Russ Iser, first brought in this stuff called Kevlar. Kevlar deteriorated in the sunlight. And so he found this stuff called spider wire. A lot of people know spider wire because of Berkeley. Once we had spider wire, he said, "Oh, I don't like this stuff." So he tossed that aside and he found this kite string. It was made out of 100% Spectra fibers. And it's the strongest line you'll find for the diameter. And the way we fish today, we put Spectra on our lines and then we add a leader or a top shot of monofilament or fluorocarbon. Well, Russ Iser, the founder of Iserline, single-handedly changed the way we fish today all over the world with that Spectra line.
Wow.
Yeah. So he was.
How do you spell it? Spectraline?
Yeah, SPECTRA, Spectra.
Okay.
They use it in the medical field. They use it for kite string. They use it for all kinds of stuff. I even use it. So when my daughter was sick, I killed my roses and killed the grass, and I planted a farm in the backyard along with my chickens. It's been over 20 years, and I still have the Spectra, for my beans hanging.
Wow.
Wow.
The ultraviolet light and the heat doesn't ruin it.
Interesting.
So it's super strong. But that's Iserline. That's the company I work for. And then that's what's made in the United States. And then Big Hammer is a swim bait company, and really good swim baits is for freshwater and saltwater. And it's a little plastic bait, anywhere from 2 inches all the way up to 9 inches that you swim in the water. And then I have some eyeglass keepers and from BBT Innovations, and then tackle boxes from SKB. You might know SKB because they make gun cases, shooting sport cases. So
Yeah,
I actually handle the fishing side on the tackle boxes here in California.
Interesting.
then-
That's cool.
And
And
then, of course,
yeah.
I have the radio show, Rod and Reel Radio, on Sunday nights, AM 540 from 5 to 7 p.m. And we talk about fishing. And if I just got back from a hunting trip, we'll talk a little bit about hunting.
Very cool.
Rod and Reel, and it's Sunday nights.
From
Sunday
5
nights,
to 7 p.m.
5 to 7. Wow.
Oh, we'll have to
And
put a plug in that on the post.
what was the station again in LA?
AM 540. During the day, it's a Mexican station, and at night, Sunday nights for 2 hours, it's in English.
Oh, that's cool.
Well, technically, it's a Mexican Japanese station for those 2
How long have you
fit
been
right
doing? How long have you been doing radio?
Over 20 years. I
Are
started
you-
off with Ish Talk Radio, and then we were bought out, and then the guys from Rod and Reel Radio asked if I would join them, and I've been with them ever since.
Wow.
That's cool.
And were you nervous the first time you went on?
No, it's like talking on the phone. It's just like this. It's like
Yeah.
talking on the phone with your buddies about fishing.
Okay.
Stuff you
We
know.
actually-
Yeah, and have fun.
So you didn't
Yeah,
feel like
we
you could screw it up?
We used to be in studio.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, so that was really fun. We used to be at KBC. We used to be, all over. It was fun, but I really like doing it from home or wherever I am. Sometimes I'm out in the field, I could be shooting something somewhere or fishing, and you can hear what's going on.
That's awesome.
As long as I have a signal, I can broadcast.
You're all, wait a second. Okay, pull.
Do you pack heat when you're fishing?
It depends.
Like fresh water? Like if you're out in
Yeah,
the
it
backcountry?
depends on where I am.
Mhm.
I don't have my CCW, and one of the reasons why I don't have my CCW is because, and I know I should get it, but all the responsibility that comes with a CCW.
Mhm.
And I don't know if I want to go there. I mean, I have CCW for 32 other states, just not California. I was hoping Trump would enact the Reciprocity Act so
Mhm.
I could go ahead, but that never
Right.
happened.
Right. Well, that might change here in the next few months as far as the Supreme Court. They have a concealed carry permit case in front of them right now. So the US Supreme Court might change that.
I hope so.
Yeah, it's a pain. In California, you have to come up with a good cause statement. And for many counties, the way the sheriff treats that, it's a discretion of the sheriff or the chief law enforcement officer.
Right.
The way they treat it is typically in the rural counties. They, you want to, so you're concerned about self-defense. Okay. But it's the problem is it's the discretion of that person.
Well, and it depends, like some counties are easier on the discretion on that person, like
That's
Orange
right.
County's easier than LA County, Riverside's easier.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so because it varies with the politics of that person, that individual. And
Which is wrong.
yeah, that shouldn't be the case. I mean, imagine if you had to get a driver's license and that was conditioned on the discretion of the politics of the individual that was giving you the license.
Right.
I mean,
Because cars kill.
you don't like,
That's right.
so you like electric vehicles and I have a gas vehicle. Okay, so I gotcha. So I don't get the license. Yeah, well, work on your good cause. Why do you need a gas car? Because I want to drive to somewhere. It's like really basic. Like the good cause statement. Why do you need to protect yourself? Well, because I want to be protected, be ready to protect myself. Do you think that you have a need to protect yourself? Well, usually when an emergency presents itself, that's when you figure it out that you had the need. And so it's just like anything else. I mean, it's like, when did you feel like you had the need for the extra water? Imagine have a good cause to have extra water. Why do you need that extra water? What's specific to you that you need that extra water?
Yeah.
It's like, well, no, I'm just trying to be prepared. Why is that a big deal?
It's like it's being proactive instead of reactive. Well, when you're reactive, it's too late.
Right.
It could be too late.
Right.
Yeah, it shouldn't be political like that. It should be just a policy of, just no discretion. I mean, because right now they can look at you and they can say, I don't they wouldn't say this, but they could think, I don't like your race.
Yeah.
I don't, oh, you're a woman and you want a gun? No, that's not happening. And they could that could be the real reason, and there'd be no process for you.
Right.
Because they could always just deny it and say, oh, no, it's our discretion. We're trying to keep the community safe. I guarantee you the licenses that are handed out, the very few licenses that are handed out in LA County by the sheriff, they're not distributed amongst the racial demographic equally. I mean, I would like to see how many blacks have that. And maybe you'd say, oh yeah, well, see, look, the LA Lakers. I'm talking about not rich people. Okay.
Right.
That's what I mean. You mean
common folk like us.
Yeah. Right. How many normal people have it? You know what I mean?
Right.
I mean, it's going to be all rich people.
Yeah.
It's all then, and that's how Democrats think. And what's frustrating to me is there's this show on Amazon Prime called Billions. And I'm no spoilers or anything like that, but I think I'm on season 3 or 4. I can't remember, but the first few episodes, it's all about a concealed carry permit. The whole thing. That's the whole premise of it's one of the main storylines. And it's the guy is a Democrat. He's a former U.S. attorney in New York City, and it's about what he has to do to get his client a concealed carry permit, and he's basically bribing the police commissioner. And it's right there on the show. It's a Democrat show. they're admitting that's what it
Wow.
is. You have to bribe someone to get. It's totally based on bribery. It's not based on any constitutional consideration. So even
Wow.
the Democrats are just obvious about it. And so I'm hoping the Supreme Court changes that. But don't
So
hold your breath.
when is that hearing?
Well, it's already been heard, and we're just waiting for the decision to be
Oh, okay.
written and issued. It'll probably be issued in June.
What state?
The state that it arose in is
Oh, I
I should
stumped
know
Luca.
this. I should know this. Yeah, why am I? The last one was New York. I think it's New York.
Oh, okay.
I think it's New York State. I believe it's New York State, but the last one was New York State, so that's why I was stumped. It's not Chicago. Yeah. So, in fact, I listened. It's pretty sad that I was stumped there, Wendy, because I actually listened to the oral arguments. That's how dorky I am. I went online and heard the oral arguments for that, and
Oh, I think
we
that's
actually did. We actually did an Orange County gun owners Second Amendment discussion night on it one time last year. I think it was November we did.
Uh-huh.
But well, Wendy, do you have any advice for us? Parting advice? Do you have any?
Keep your powder dry.
We give you the incomparable Wendy Tochihara. And let me get your name right. The incomparable Wendy Tochihara. That's all you need to know. Wendy Tochihara. That's all. That's the whole show right there. It's just you with all of you.
Mediate.
I remember I was at a Christmas party and you told me that you had a 50 caliber at one point. And I was like, who is this lady? I want to meet this lady. So ever since then, I was like, okay, I'm making a mental note to have her on the podcast at some point. Well, Curtis, you have anything else?
Oh, what a pleasure this has been to be able to get to know you more and hear about all of the stories and what you do. It's been great.
Thank you, Curtis.
Yeah.
Thank you, Lucas. And it was nice being on the podcast with you guys. Nice seeing you again, Curtis.
Nice to see you.
We look forward to having your mother on at some point.
Oh, I'm really looking forward to that. I think that'll be awesome.
Oh, you guys will get a kick.
Her name was
Jane.
Jane.
It still is. I'm pretty sure.
I'm pretty sure it is too. Or we call her Blondie.
Oh, there you go.
She's
Wow.
blonde.
She sounds like a real firecracker.
She is.
It's awesome.
All right. Thanks for coming on, Wendy. I'm going to stop
All right.
recording now.
Thank you.